Welcome back to the Dynasty Kings podcast. Today is mock draft Monday, of
Mock
course.
Draft Monday.
But if you're seeing at the bottom of the screen, it's actually Sunday. But who cares?
You're not.
You're not. It's Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Check your calendar. So today we're doing something a little different.
Yep. Trying to speed up the process.
Yep. I wasn't gonna say that, but I'm doing the NFC. Austin's doing the AFC.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. A little behind the scenes. We did the mock draft before we started recording this time. Just make things a little
less
faster.
wondering. Yeah, we're just gonna explain it instead of looking at the names and being nervous.
That's right. So, first overall, Caleb Williams done.
Easy.
Not explaining it.
Yeah, these ones.
Get over it.
Yeah. this 1 and 2 I think is like about as solid as it can get.
Nah.
You know, like the 2, it's spicy. It could possibly go, but I'm pretty convinced that Jaden Daniels is going to be the Washington quarterback when it starts here.
I do too.
And Jared was in charge of the NFC, like we said, so those 2 QB picks were easy for him. I chose not to get cute, and I'm just going to not believe any of the smoke and put Drake May with the Patriots as well. Those first 3 are all pretty simple in my opinion. Whether it's the Patriots or another team making that pick at 3 for Drake May, I do think that he's going to be the 3rd quarterback off the board. A lot of people have been like kind of shitting on him, it seems, and he's still a high level talent, bro. Nobody can say that otherwise. They just think that those other 2 are a little bit better, and maybe even JJ's a little bit better. I don't personally feel that way, so I think that Drake going to the Patriots would make sense. Or if a team like the Vikings or somebody else wants to trade up to 3 and the Patriots are willing to move out of there, I still think Drake May is going to be 3rd quarterback off the board and probably 3rd pick.
That's where we're at a little bit of a disconnect at this point. We were discussing earlier, I'm starting to believe the J.J. McCarthy hype. Not like I personally believe he's going to be the 3rd quarterback, he should be, but I think he will be. I think that recent news has been saying that they want to start Jacoby Brissett for at least half the season, and I could see J.J. McCarthy learning behind Jacoby Brissett, which, listen, I know people hate on Jacoby Brissett. I don't hate on Jacoby Brissett. I think he's
Jake Brisket, baby.
I think he's a top 5 backup in the NFL behind,
I'd say easily
Justin Fields, some other guys. I'm not going to go through the top 5.
Right.
But
he's a top 40 QB, dude. He belongs in the league.
I agree with that. But with the Cardinals on the clock here, obviously wide receivers their biggest need. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze are all still on the board. Obviously there's just been 3 quarterbacks taken, but I think they're going to be offered a trade package that they cannot refuse from the Minnesota Vikings, which they are right here, and it's obviously going to be 4. It's going to be 11 and 23. I was going to do just a second next year because I don't think it's going to cost 3 firsts, but they don't have a second next year. They traded it to Houston for the 23rd pick, so it is going to be a first next year, but they're going to get a second back, which I think that if you're trading up for your quarterback of the future, if he obviously pans out, then it's worth it. If not, then you're shit out of luck.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah, if not, then
it'd feel real rough to have him be a bust and then give away your 1st round pick.
And probably Justin Jefferson.
The Panthers know about that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be the trade. And I think they're going to want Drake May. That's why I kind of think it's going to be JJ at 3. And then I think they really want Drake May. But I think that they'll be okay trading up for JJ. So yeah, first 4.
QBs off the board. Yeah, so that's interesting, and I definitely I could see it happen, but I kind of think back to Will Levis last year and how a lot of people kind of booked him for the top 10, and J.J. McCarthy is the same kind of thing where it's just like we have no clue where he's going to go. I mean, he could realistically go as high as 2. I don't foresee that happening, but that could literally happen.
Yeah.
Or he could go all the way to the end of the 1st round or maybe even the beginning of the 2nd round. So, but if this happens, this is going to be really exciting and a really cool way to kind of start the draft, because then it's like, okay, QBs are out of the way till the end of the 1st round. Let's start getting into the meat of things. And Chargers fans are cream team because they just got Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
And, I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah.
They got rid of 2 stud wide receiver. Well, I don't know if Mike Williams is a stud. Mike Williams is good, though. They got rid of their wide receiver room, and now they're replacing it with the top wide receiver prospect. I mean, you got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people also have the Chargers trading down, but I think that if the board falls this way, you can't trade
There's
down.
no way,
Yeah. The Giants are on the clock here. I originally used to say Rome Odunze makes sense because it's a big body receiver to get the Kenny Galladay or get what they wanted out of Kenny Galladay. But I actually think Malik Neighbors now makes more sense after thinking about it more. Brian Daboll's a vertical offense type of guy, as we saw in Buffalo, as we saw 2 years ago when the Giants were like decently good.
Yep. On that shriek.
And Malik Neighbors is just a spark plug. Like he's going to electrify our offense, and I think that he's exactly what this offense needs. Whether it's Daniel Jones next year, it probably won't be, but this guy's going to be there for at least the next 4 or 5 years. So.
Yeah. No, I agree, and it's a good wide receiver to start building your room around. And obviously there's no such thing as a surefire prospect, but he's a high tier wide receiver prospect. Yeah. And with that said, Titans get exactly what they want. I think no matter what they're picking a tackle, they would maybe trade down a little bit if somebody wants to give them something to move up a couple spots if Joe Alt is not available. But I think they're really hoping that the board falls somewhat similar to this so that they can grab their tackle of the future.
Yeah, they are also cream team right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what they wanted.
So I'm going to do something here that when I showed Austin, he wasn't a huge fan of. But I think it's going to happen. Well, I don't know. I think as of right now,
this is on your personal board. Like if you were the Falcons drafting off of your personal board, this is how you would rip it.
I can also explain it though. So nobody knows what they're gonna do here. Like it's probably gonna be offense.
Offense?
Or defense. Sorry, defense.
You're good.
I meant defense, but the only offensive player that they would really take is Rome, I think. I don't think they're going to take O-line. I don't think they would take Brock Bowers. That would just be ridiculous for Kyle Pitts shareholders. They'd be pissed.
Andy would just crawl in a hole and die, bro. There's nothing else to do.
But I would pick Dallas Turner here. I picked Jared Verse here. I picked a corner here. I'm gonna go a different direction here. It's gonna be Laiatu Latu, and here's why. Dallas Turner is more of a project, kind of. Like, he's gonna be good.
Athletic freak.
He's an athletic freak, but he's only 21 years old. Laiatu Latu's 23, and the Falcons are very much win now. Like, when they signed Kirk Cousins, they're trying to win now. They have all the players on offense. Yeah, they could use maybe another wide receiver or something, but, I mean, you made a move for Rondale Moore. They got Darnell Mooney. So they've made changes in the receiver room. It's really just about that edge. And I think Laiatu Latu, does he have the highest ceiling? I don't think so. I think that Dallas Turner probably has the highest ceiling, but I do think Laiatu Latu has the highest floor, and I think that that's what they need right now as a win-now team, is a guy that can instantly come in and be a force off the edge. So that's why I have Laiatu Latu, and I think he fits in with Raheem Morris's scheme as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's all logical, and it's really, like we said, I think it was 2 shows ago, if we just knew their boards, then this would be a lot easier. So, just because, like, people in general are kind of leaning towards one or the other, it doesn't mean all the teams are thinking that way.
Yeah.
And if the Falcons have Laiatu Latu at the top of their list, then if he's here and he's available, they'll probably draft him. But there is also an opportunity to trade back here if somebody would be interested in moving up, and they have their eyes on Latu, because odds are he's probably going to go towards kind of like the very beginning of the top 10. Rather than all the way up here, but it's hard to predict trades. So, no, that makes sense, and I think that's kind of really the only question is there a logic behind the move? And I think that's logic there, and I agree. We've been saying for years that the Falcons are just a quarterback away, and they finally got the quarterback, so it's like, what now? Let's see if they can become playoff contenders and kind of take that next step.
Another reason, too, is I think Laiatu Latu's only downfall is that he had to medically retire 3 years ago, but that's the thing. 3 years ago. He played 2 really good seasons of college football since then, so I don't think that's really a concern.
Mm-hmm. What was it for? Was it concussions?
I think it was his neck, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. But he came back.
Listen, That's risky.
He came back and played 2 really good years of college football at UCLA. It's not like he was playing D2 or anything as well. So here, I have another spicy one. It's going to be a trade back for the Chicago Bears. I think Laiatu Latu was probably on their board, so maybe they had him a little higher. But I think that the guy that I will end up taking for them, I think he'll be there for this trade anyway. So they are going to trade back not too far. It's going to be with the Arizona Cardinals trading back up. And the reason for this is the Chicago Bears have 4 picks in this draft, right? They want more picks. Like, there's no way you're going to leave the draft. Yeah, you get the first overall pick in the 9th. Like, you get 2 first-round picks in the top 10.
They're trade-back candidates,
but
for sure.
Yeah, they need to trade down. It's going to be... You're only trading down 2 spots, so it's going to be like... And the Cardinals have 7... If they trade back with the Vikings, they have 7 picks in the top 100. So I think it'll be a trade like 71 and 138 to get it done. not too expensive. It's a third, and I believe that's like a fifth.
Right, and they might even accept 162 or something like that. It'll be the last pick's a throw-in for sure. But no, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense for the Bears. They're trying to get an influx of talent. They're still they've made huge steps, but they're still building something.
Right. So it's going to be just minor trade here, and the Cardinals trade up, and they still grab a wide receiver that they weren't able to grab at 4 since they traded down, and they still pick up a first-round pick this year, later at 27, and pick up a first-round pick. Or 23, excuse me. They already have 27.
Yeah.
But they pick up 23, and they pick up a first next year in exchange for a second next year.
Yeah.
And they still get a top 3 wide receiver in this draft class.
That's nice. And we saw the Cardinals GM was willing to trade back last year. So, this makes a lot of sense. And if they have Rome on their target board and they think that the Bears are going to be up to that, and I'm sure that they're having, preliminary conversations with all this stuff, and it's not going to really be anything serious until they see how the board falls. But hey, I mean, the Cardinals are walking out of here with a wide receiver 1 and extra picks. I don't know how you could.
I think they already won the draft.
Yeah, I don't think how you could be upset with that. And they did that last year, too. And they are just talent poor. They are a talent poor team. They need to draft 10 and add, 20, 30 undrafted free agents every year for a couple years before they're really going to find a playoff caliber team. So I think as many quality dart throws as you can get is going to make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So now we're on to the Jets, and I think every single time I've had a influence in the Jets' decision, they've grabbed Brock Bowers, and that's not changing. I think it just makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is a high-level tight end prospect. They're not like hurting for pass catchers, but they need another one to kind of put them over that edge. Especially, they added Mike Williams, but he's a little injury prone. Odds are and I don't think he's gonna be ready for the season. They added unretired Corey Davis, which is not really exciting me that much. They obviously have Garrett Wilson, who's fantastic. And then there's another wide receiver too.
Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb.
Right. So they kind of have a hodgepodge of receivers. So I think getting Garrett and Brock Bowers kind of just working the outside in the middle of the field, and then you can kind of use those other dudes. That's a nice little pass catching duo, pass catching duo, and then a nice pass catchers group as well. So just for me, Brock just kind of seems to be fitting in that area. And it's just a question if they are more focused on tackles because they address the tackle position, but not long term.
Right.
So if they have somebody who they really think is going to be, a franchise tackle, they might take him here too. But I think that tied in and kind of just pushing that. Because, name a team that's more all in than the New York Jets this year.
It's them and the Falcons.
Right. They need results. They need to get to the playoffs this year, or it's literally a failure. So I think grabbing somebody who can come in and make an immediate impact on offense makes a lot more sense here than maybe grabbing a tackle for the future. But, in the end, the GMs they have long-term plans, so he might be thinking otherwise.
That's exactly what I was going to say, too, is like Brock Bowers is the perfect win-now piece for them. And
he's also a good... He could be a franchise tight end too, Yeah. For all we know, he could be in 10 years of top 5 tight end play. He has the floor he has the ceiling for that.
Yeah, easily. For
sure.
Easily. I mean, he has an even higher ceiling than that.
Right.
Like,
he's nice,
easily
dude.
Be number 1. Yeah. But Chicago Bears, after trading back 2 picks, I think that Jerzon Newton makes a lot of sense. Some people think that Byron Murphy's better. I think that they're just 2 completely different players. Byron Murphy can play in a 4-3, but I think he's more of a 3-4 nose tackle type of guy, which he could play. Like I said, he could play either one. But Jerzon Newton is more of a 4-3 defensive tackle that's just going to be an absolute menace, and he gets to stay in Illinois, and I think he makes more sense for the Bears. Yeah. So I just... I was going to say they could trade back a little more, but they already traded back some, and they picked up some more picks. So I think it's a good pick. And last year they drafted Darnell Wright, who everyone kind of thought was a reach. I thought it was kind of a reach. I don't think he's the best tackle on the board. But that's all I'm saying is we've seen Chicago take guys that aren't the consensus pick there. So I could see it happening.
I agree. No, and I think that makes sense, and I definitely think that their interior D-line is going to need some work. Wide receiver is an option here, but this is a deep wide receiver class, and they just added Keenan Allen, so obviously that's not as pressing need, and they can take a dart throw on a second-round guy, because when we were doing this originally and we were looking at the wide receivers kind of towards the end for Kansas City, it's like, damn, all these guys are good.
Well, that's the one problem, though, is they don't have a second-round pick, but they do have a third, and they could easily still take a wide receiver in the third.
Yes,
so,
exactly. It's a deep, deep class. But yeah, so now we're on to the Broncos, and they have a lot of needs, man. When we were trying to figure this one out, I was just talking with Jared a little bit. It's like, God, man, like, where are they going to go? Where does Sean Payton trying to make his move? And I think that kind of from a Saints perspective, I'm kind of going back and thinking about that team and what really happened when they kind of like became what they were. And,
their identity.
Basically from the Super Bowl run on, they were a very competitive team. Very competitive team. And it was almost always built through the trenches. So I could see them taking Byron Murphy here. I could see them taking either of the edges here. But I think they're grabbing, is it
Talisa Fuaga.
Talisa Fuaga.
Fuanga. There's
Fuanga, got
an N that's not in there.
Okay, I like
weird.
that. All right, Fuanga. Oregon State tackle. Kind of build those trenches up. They definitely need the help. I know that they signed, who's that right tackle from the 49ers? Mike McGlinchey last year, and he got off to a rough start. And so, yeah, they need help on that side of the line. And I think their left tackle got injured or something, too, if I remember correctly. They've had a rough time with their offensive line, so I think right now is going to be a perfect time to do this. And I could also see them trading back. They'd be a great candidate to kind of move back a couple picks and get extra stuff, because similar to the Cardinals, and especially with $70 million in dead money on the books, like they need to get rosterable players that are cheap. So I could definitely see them trading back, but if not, I think they'll just stay and kind of grab a tackle here and kind of start trying to build the foundation of their team.
Yeah.
And next up, we got another AFC West competitor, if you want to say that. But yeah, I think they're grabbing a corner here. And I think Quinion Mitchell is the best one by far. So kind of do that.
By far?
Yeah, by far. I think Quinion Mitchell is, he's tier 0.5, and then the other three guys are tier 1, in my opinion.
Just say 1 and 2.
But I don't think the other cornerbacks are tier 2, Like, I think Quinion Mitchell is, like, the definitive level above. Like, I don't know if he's tier 0, bro, because he's not like a sauce level prospect, in my opinion.
I see what you're saying.
But yeah, he is, like, he's a next level up.
Okay. I agree with that.
Yeah, and so I think that makes a lot of sense, man. They targeted their D-line by adding Christian Wilkins this offseason. They definitely, Antonio Pierce is a defensive player, former defensive player, and I think that he really wants to kind of build the Raiders' identity through that. So getting a lockdown corner to help with your disgusting pass rush, I think it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Saints on the board here. I know what I had them doing, but I don't remember who. Oh, I remember. It's going to be Olu Fashanu.
Yep.
They need left tackle. I think that they could actually, I've avidly been a Trevor Penning hater, but I think he makes...
You said that last week, too.
I hate him, bro. I've always hated him. It was such a stupid pick, and he's horrible. But I think that they could... I think he makes more sense as a guard. He just likes to maul people. Like, that's a quote he said in an interview. I love playing offensive tackle because I get to legally maul people, which is very questionable to say.
Dog him.
Yeah, that's yeah. But I think Olu Fashanu could easily come in and take that left tackle position.
Right, and push him over to guard.
And push him to guard, and then or even push him to right tackle, because Ryan Ramczyk, we don't know his future. I personally think he should retire because his knee is obliterated, but I mean, he might play one more year.
Right. He's on the edge.
Yeah.
The end of that.
Yeah. He's at the end of the line.
So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that in general, like when you have teams that are kind of struggling, and I don't know how the Saints kept their coach, man. It makes no sense to me. They're the definition of mediocrity, and but when you're taking that step up from like a 6 to 7 win team to kind of a playoff contender, it's almost always from the offensive line. So I think it makes a lot of sense for these teams that are kind of they're not the worst teams in the league, but they're pretty damn close. From 10 through 14. You need to build your trenches, man. You need the D-line, you need the O-line, you need to start affecting that portion of the game, and then you can start working on, okay, we need a final piece. Let's trade for a wide receiver. Let's draft a high wide receiver. I think it's just because the tackles on the edges are just harder to find proper people. So that's why I think for the Broncos and the Saints, it makes a ton of sense for them to both grab tackles there. And I mean, it would make a little sense too for maybe the Raiders to get a tackle.
Yeah.
But I do, like I said, I think that they're going to build through their defense first, and this is a deep tackle class as well, so they might be able to address those needs later.
I think
not in this mock though.
Yeah, not in this mock. I think for the Raiders, it is going to be either a right tackle or Quinion Mitchell. So I don't hate the pick either way.
No, I agree for sure, and I think if he's gone, they'll grab Fashanu or Fuanga, whoever they think is going to be easier to grab. And then the Colts, I'm pretty convinced that they're grabbing a corner here. Maybe they're higher on Brian Thomas Jr. than other people are, and they want to just get that wide receiver pairing done and just give AR every single piece that he needs. But I personally think that they're gonna grab a corner. And I've said a couple times, I think Kool-Aid's the better corner compared to Terrion Arnold, but Terrion Arnold is awesome. And I think that the consensus is that he is the better one. So what I think the Colts are going to do is grab Terrion Arnold. And Jared and I also had a discussion that they might be more interested in Nate Wiggins because Chris Ballard loves those kind of freak athletes, and he had some nice combine numbers. But I'm still going Arnold here, and I think it just makes sense. Almost positive they're grabbing a wide receiver or a cornerback on draft day.
Yeah.
That's like one of the most sure of the couple that we have here.
The only thing I could see is like Jared Verse and Dallas Turner still on the board, so maybe they go edge just because I believe it's Kwity Paye.
Yes.
Or their other edge rusher. I don't remember his name. One of them is on the last year of their deal.
It's Kwity Paye, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I could see them going edge, but I think it's more likely that they go corner or receiver. And I actually, I know we're only doing a first round mock, but I saw this idea and I really liked it. I think Ricky Pearsall in round 2 or 3 to pair him back up with AR from Florida. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Love to see it.
So I think that they would go corner in round 1. And whether it's Terrion Arnold, whether it's Cooper DeJean, whether it's Nate Wiggins, it's going to be a corner.
And if Quinion's available, they're snapping him too.
Oh,
they're literally going to run to the podium like the Lions did when the Jaguars grabbed Trayvon Walker.
If Quinion Mitchell makes it past 13, I think the Colts, while the Saints haven't even picked yet, already have it written down and are waiting right behind the Saints just to give their card in.
100%. Begging for it.
Yeah, please. But we got the Seahawks here at 16. Did I do it again? Or did I change it?
No, you put the boy in there.
Oh, no, I did change it. Because I was going to say, we always do Troy Fontana.
We always have Fontana there, yep. But
not this time, we're changing it up.
There's another player available that has not been available in the past.
Dallas Turner has not been here in the past.
Yep.
And, I mean, edge isn't their biggest need, but, they have 2 solid guys. And it's just, you can't
yeah, exactly. Run them on a rotation. They have more energy, man. What a problem.
I mean, teams do that regardless.
Exactly. At this point in time, I don't think there's any edge players who are out there for.
It's really just Max Crosby, and I think that might be
probably
it.
And he's just that's because he won't go.
Yeah,
they literally try to get him to leave the line, and he won't.
He's just nah.
But yeah,
we're on offense.
Yeah. Nah, exactly. Yeah, let me go. Let me pass block.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I agree. I don't think they're targeting edge, but if they get one of these premier guys available to them, they're probably going to grab them because, having a nice trio of pass rushers, it's oh man, that's such a problem. We have too many edge rushers. It's okay. And they're all on rookie contracts. It's so I think that makes a lot of sense. And I do agree. I think that if they, if Jared Verse and Dallas Turner are gone, like they have been in previous iterations of our mock, that they're grabbing our boy Fontanu, or Fontenot. But however the hell you say it, and but no, I think that makes sense, and I think that's gonna make their defense immediately better.
Another thing too is their biggest needs are really interior offensive line. That is their one biggest need.
Right.
Obviously, they need safety too because they cut their safeties, and then Bobby Wagner's now gone. So all the needs that it says are true, but all of those 3 needs are all not top 16 picks for me.
No, I don't know anybody in that realm.
Yeah,
that I would send them there.
So you can just address that later in the draft.
Exactly, and I think for once they have all their picks. So
shout out to them.
Yeah, and they might trade the They love trading back too, so there's a chance that if they want to try to grab those guys all on the 3rd or something, they'll just go get 4 third-round picks.
That's probably more likely. If Dallas Turner wasn't on the board, I probably would have looked for a trade back. But I just think with Dallas Turner on the board,
and I do think Troy is maybe a level above those guys where he can also play tackle if they need him to. But he's more likely going to be a guard. So
I've been seeing him as more likely as of recently playing left tackle. But it just depends on where he goes. Right. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And
if he goes to Seattle, then I think he will get pushed into guard, but I could easily see him playing left tackle
or right tackle too, possibly, because I know they have Charles Cross, and then I think they have another guy, Gabe, if I remember correctly. But yeah,
I almost said Gabe Vincent.
Is it Gabe Jackson?
That sounds.
But I think that's a guard. I don't think that's a tackle. Either way, Seahawks have done awesome recently. I just want to say, like, their drafting these last couple years have been fantastic. So I think they'd be really happy with this.
Yeah.
And then we got the Jaguars.
They also, one more thing, they also have been drafting not biggest need. So that's another reason Dallas Turner could easily be there. Like, they didn't need JSN. Nope. They didn't need Zach Charbonnet.
Nope.
Like, they just taking best player available pretty much all the time.
And they're digging it.
Right.
Yeah. No, they follow their board to the T, dude. To the absolute T. So, yeah, we got the Jags up next. You mentioned this on the last one as well that I was listening to on the way over here, that they kind of missed on Trayvon Walker a little bit. So, you know, kind of similar to the same issue with this. It's not like Trayvon Walker is bad. He's just not a pass rush specialist. And, like, in this era of football, that's kind of what you're looking for from your edges, you know? So I think that grabbing Jared Verse here, again, kind of someone who wasn't available these last couple mock drafts, get a nice trio, again, of edge rushers and just keep those guys fresh. Josh Allen's a monster. We know that. Trayvon Walker can take a step up. You know, it's not like he's done developing. He's not done growing. Guy's a physical freaking freak, dude. Guy is just absolutely insane. And so is Jared Verse. So, I mean, you get 3 literal dogs on the edge of your thing. And, I mean, there's also a chance that maybe they put Trayvon Walker on some packages kind of in the middle and have all 3 of them on the D-line. And, I mean, that's... Now you're building your defense. You know, they've obviously had issues in the secondary, so I could see them grabbing a corner here. But I think that this puts a stamp on kind of what they want to do and gives them a really, really solid D-line to build their defense around.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's either going to be corner or just best player available.
Right.
But they could, like you said, address corner in the second round or just later in the draft.
Yeah.
Bengals, you're still on the clock.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yes, I'm doing the AFC one. We're so used to switching it. And it kind of did naturally do that a couple times. Yeah. But yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you got your 5-pack coming up here soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bengals, I think they're going to be really happy with either Johnny Newton or Byron Murphy. They need an interior defensive lineman. There is a chance they trade up too. You know, if they get to like here, or here maybe, or here, and Byron Murphy's still available, they might just go and get their guy, because I think that it's like a legitimate need. Legitimate need. They need to get out of this draft with a nose tackle of some sort. Otherwise, they're going to be in really rough shape, I think.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can grab this guy, because I think Byron Murphy's a dog, and I think that he would fit really well with the Bengals. So I mean that fit is just basically as perfect as it can get. And I think we shipped him or Johnny Newton to them every single time.
Yeah.
And I think they're in a good position to kind of get them, you know? So,
I think maybe at the beginning we put a tackle there, but they have since signed the dude that was on the Patriots.
Trent Brown?
Yep, Trent Brown.
Okay.
There
and
it is.
he saw. See, the thing with Trent Brown is he'll have 5 games where he is just a turnstile, and then he'll have 10 games where he's just like one of the best tackles in the league. So, you know, as long as they can catch that at the end of the season, I think they'll be pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I think at this point, you know, maybe with Fontanu being here available, they might kind of change their mind, but the drop-off from defensive tackle between the top 2 and the other ones is much more drastic than the tackles, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Rams on the clock here. We're going with a guy that they already have a Cooper Kupp on offense. Now they take another Cooper on defense.
Yep.
I think he fits in with the Rams super well. He could play anywhere. They need everywhere in their DB room. So I think he makes a ton of sense. They're kind of good on safety, but Cooper DeJean could still play on the outside. I know a lot of people say that he's going to move back to safety. I think they're just racist, and they just don't want to see a white guy play corner. He can play corner super well.
Right. And I mean, you know, I know it's been, 20 years or something like that, so it's not like it's not like it's ridiculous commentary.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, if he's capable of doing it and a team is interested in doing it, I think it makes sense, and I agree. You know, he's a dog, man. That guy is really, really good on defense. So, adding him to a secondary that is bringing back Darius Williams, and they brought in Trey White.
Yeah.
It's a remade, corner room, and I think that adding to that is going to make a lot of sense. And also shout out my boy Trey White. I hope you absolutely beat down in yellow and blue, bro.
Okay, that's respect. That's love.
Dude, that is my guy, bro.
Okay.
That's one of the first jerseys I ever got, man. It was Josh Allen and Trey White.
I thought you were gonna be disrespectful.
Nah, dude.
Okay.
Hey, man.
I like it.
You know what? The Bills were not in a position to pay that man $7 million. So I am glad that you got your bag, buddy.
Yeah.
And I hope that you come back as healthy as ever, and then either just do really well and stay in the NFC, or come back.
and you were being very respectful for him, but I'm gonna be a little disrespectful. It's just like not too disrespectful, but he is coming off injury. He's getting old, so like them adding Trey White does not completely dismiss the fact that they won't get a corner.
Correct. I mean, there is a chance that he's not even ready to play until the middle of the season. So
right.
It's not like he's a plug and play kind of guy. I hope he does, man. I hope he comes back from that.
I hope so too.
I hope his legs are Cybertron, dude. Like, I want it to be insane. Like, but yeah, you know, it just and the Rams. You know, it's not like he went to some like team I hate or anything. Like, if he was on the Jags, bro.
Don't say it.
Puke. Anyway, on to the Steelers. I think Jared changed this up last week when he was by himself, so we're kind of he's conflicted on what the black and yellow are gonna do. But I think Jackson Powers-Johnson makes a lot of sense. They need that center. He's clear cut above the rest. Really nice offensive lineman. This is right around when centers will go normally too.
Yeah.
So I'm putting with the Steelers, and I'm pretty happy about it.
I'm also happy about it too. I was telling Austin I'm happy with either a tackle, a center, or a really good corner. As long as we don't like absolutely reach for a corner. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy with all the tackles available right now. Trey Fautanu, J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims. Happy with all of them.
And Nate Wiggins and Kool-Aid too at CB.
And I would be completely fine with either of those two guys, Wiggins or Kool-Aid. But I think Jackson Powers-Johnson still makes a ton of sense. We don't have a center. Right now it's supposed to be Nate Herbig, who plays guard and is a backup. So I would
much prefer to move him to like right guard or something.
Or just keep him as a backup, god damn it. But like Jackson Powers-Johnson, I'm 100% okay with this pick.
Yeah. No, he's good for sure, and I think, you know, they might grab one of the tackles here as well.
That's gonna come back to bite me. It's gonna come back to bite me in the ass when we take him and he's just absolutely terrible. It's like, I'm 100% happy with that pick though.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense personally. They need the center. This guy's good. I would say a good majority of centers who were good in college are good in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like almost all of the top prospects that I remember in the last 5 years that have been drafted have been good.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. And I think the Dolphins are super happy with how this laid out. I think they'd be happy with either of these two guys. But I got them taking Fautanu here. Kind of addressing that O-line. They need the help there. Tight end is the number one need is crazy to me. Because you can just take a flyer.
No, it's not by...
it's not in order?
Yeah, it's not in order.
All right, never mind then. But yeah, I mean, the tight end is not the number one need for the Dolphins. They need offensive and defensive line horrifically bad. So grabbing a tackle here, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it makes sense. And you can move him all across the line.
Yep.
He could play all 5 positions probably. Eagles on the board here. I've been seeing Nate Wiggins actually rise more. I think last week I said that he was falling. I've been seeing him rise more. I mean, he's a corner that ran in the 4.2s.
Yep.
But I'm going to go with Kool-Aid here. I think that he is probably...
the boy.
I think he's a safer prospect for the Eagles. And Austin was saying this earlier. I think it just has to be a corner in the first round for the Eagles. Like, maybe they take wide receiver, but, like, I don't know, man. Like, I could see Brian Thomas going there and actually being really successful. But I think they have to address the corner position. Right. And Kool-Aid's here. I think they're just cool.
Well, especially because, I mean, I don't know if maybe there has been news on this and I just haven't heard it yet, but I mean, what's up with Darius Slay? When we saw him in Tampa, he was walking off the field injured, you know? So, I mean,
I've not heard anything about that.
He might not even be ready for, I'm sure he probably is because they would have said something if it was worse, but
I don't know.
He might not be ready for week 1.
I could see them trying to hide it a little bit.
Yeah. Because they don't have to report it yet.
Yeah.
They don't need to until the start of the season. So, there's a chance that he's in rough shape right now. And I hope not because we loved watching Slay play. And he was a dog when we saw him in live, too. Man, he was all over Mike Evans, bro. Yeah. And, and then James Bradbury was just that was the wrong free agency pick for them. So they need to get him in a lesser role immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
Immediately.
He was like the Levi Wallace on the Steelers. Like, oh my god, I'm so hyped. We finally got a corner, and then he's like super mid.
Yep.
It's just like,
and it's crazy because he was good
for the Bills
2 seasons ago. And Levi Wallace too was a dog for the Bills. Yeah. And then he was good for the Steelers for like 10 games, and then just fell off, dude. Yeah. But hey, shout out Levi Wallace, man. Undrafted free agent, turned it into a couple mil.
I like that.
Congrats to you, bud.
Yeah. For sure. Now he hangs out with TJ Watt. So, I'm still on. This is my.
Still on the clock.
This is my run. This is my run.
Yes, yeah. Jared now has 5 picks. So.
Yep. Austin's just gonna sit back and relax. But I was just saying, I've been higher on Nate Wiggins recently. I mean, he runs on the 4.2s. It's gonna be Nate Wiggins here. They already have Rome. They take Nate Wiggins here, and they have a pick in 4 picks. So that makes a ton of sense to me. Cowboys on the clock. They desperately need offensive line help. Could also see them going with Brian Thomas Jr. or even A.D. Mitchell here. Stay in Texas. Hook 'em. Just kidding. I don't give a shit about the Texas. um, but no. But I think that they are going to go offensive line.
But no.
I got a little sidetracked.
Oh, bro, I'm gonna cut that.
I think all.
I said nah, but no. That's great.
I think they're gonna go one of these three guys.
Yep.
I think Grant.
At this point, man, I mean, look at that. That is a thick tackle class.
Yeah,
dude.
all the way down at 24, and these three guys are still here. Like,
Mhm.
come on, man. I want the Steelers to trade back
Yeah.
up at this point.
This is a spicy draft that we got going on here. It's
Yeah.
a lot of runs of positions, it seems,
Yeah.
rather than people taking BPAs.
And there's about to be another one.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Graham Barton. I didn't put him here, so I'm not gonna do it. But I actually think he does make the most sense for the Cowboys because they can move him to center and he could play center. But I think that it also makes sense for them to just take center like second or third round.
Yeah.
So
They need
right
O-line
here,
help for sure.
I'm going with Marius Mims.
Yep.
I think that they're just going to be down to just develop him. He's only played in the past 2 years. He's only played 8 games. But I think that he's just an absolute monster. Like, it's not even just I think, like, he is an absolute monster. Like, the way that he runs as a 6'7" guy is just like unheard of. 6'7", and then how tall is he? 300 or
How much is it,
340 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
6'7",
literally what it
340.
just said. It's hard to believe.
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe how the 6'7", 340 pounds can sit down in his stance and run to cover ground.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
It
true,
is.
man.
That's a lot of human.
He's a freak. And I could easily see him going higher here, like higher than 24. I think this is probably like 26, maybe even 25 is like his floor. Like, he has to be a top 25
Right.
pick.
Some of these corners might fall back. And this is
Yeah.
a nice draft. I really like this one a lot
Yeah.
because it does seem like there's a run of position group where there's like, you know, about 3 or 4 guys kind of at each tier, and it's like which like trait do you prefer
Yeah.
in your position? And I think that's sweet.
So, Green Bay Packers here. I used to think this was a weird space to draft. Now I think it's just locked and loaded. If a right tackle like J.C. Latham falls to them,
Yep.
it's just locked in.
Snapped it up.
Which is interesting because I actually noticed today, since 2011, they've only picked one offensive player in the first round. One.
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
That's nuts, dude.
Jordan Love is since 2011.
goodness, dude.
It's been 13 years.
I know it worked out, but it is still insane how they were drafting when Aaron Rodgers was on that team,
Bro,
dude.
there were also
Crazy.
a couple years in there where they had 2 first-round picks, and they spent both of them
Right.
on defensive
On defense,
players.
Yep.
Like, it's actually, like, okay, I shit on Aaron Rodgers sometimes for saying that he's a whiny baby, but, like,
Which is, yeah.
come on, bro. I
Right.
think I would actually
I'd be pissed
be
at
a
that
whiny
too.
baby,
No,
too, at
That's
that point.
that's crazy.
It's egregious.
That's absolutely crazy.
Like, it's just disrespectful, honestly. I didn't just, like, I knew it was bad, but, like, since 2011,
Right.
when I saw that today, I was like,
It's
wow.
crazy. And it worked out, like we said, you know, they had a long-term plan. Their homegrown talent is making a very nice defense. They no longer have Joe Barry to blame everything on, so
Yeah.
like they got a defensive coordinator, and if it's not working this time, it's their fault.
Yeah.
So
It's their fault. Here at 26, there's always a nice player that falls to the Bucks, like,
Yep.
with
They
their
love
teammate,
it.
too.
They love it.
I think that they're just, like, the one team that there's just no way
Right.
they trade out of. And then, of course, now that we've said that, they're going to trade.
Yep.
But Graham Barton falls to them
Yeah.
here. He could instantly come in and play guard or center for them, or even tackle, but I think he'll probably will play center since, what is it, Ryan Jensen, their center that just retired.
Yes.
So he can instantly come in and play center for them if they want, or move him around, like I said.
God, look at those needs. Guard, corner.
yeah,
Or
they-
guard. Corner.
They need everything. I can also see them going edge there.
What do they need a running back for? I think we said that the last time. They do not need a running back.
Yeah, they don't.
Rashad White is nice.
I mean, I could see them taking one in, like, the 6th or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
But,
like,
come on now.
yeah.
It's
But,
not like a top need.
bro, this is not their top needs.
Right.
It's not
I
in the
know.
order, Austin.
Right, but still, like,
Yeah.
needs in general, it's like, come on.
It's a top 7 need for them, I would say. They have
Not
7
even.
needs on
Yeah,
here.
like, what?
Nah. I would honestly say quarterback is a bigger need for them than running back, but
Right,
I
exactly.
digress.
Get Penix in the second round. Not in this one.
Not in this. Spoiler. Carolina back on the clock for the 3rd time. They
Cardinals.
took Carolina. They haven't been on the clock at all, actually.
No, they have no first round picks.
The Cardinals, CAR. Bet the car, baby, bet the car.
Oh, you don't even think about that.
Brian Thomas still being on the board here is criminal.
It is, man. I'm so hyped for it.
And
I hope this happens.
I could also just see them going double down.
If they grab double wide receiver, I'd be belligerent
Bro,
at this point in time.
that would be so crazy.
It would.
But I don't have it happening. I think they'll just still take one later.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing something that might be a little bit of a reach according to PFF, but I think Chop Robinson is a first-round guy. He's a freak athlete, like absolute freak. I still wish, like I said last week, that they put their combine numbers on here. PFF, get it together. But he's 21 years old, just turned 21 pretty much. Alien-like athlete. That's the first thing you see right here. Alien-like. And he does have some jaw-dropping plays where he can fire off the line and get into the backfield with ease. Like, it's just, he's going to take some developing, and like, with Carolina, with the Cardinals, they have time to develop players.
Yep.
They are not win now. Like, yeah, they have Kyler Murray, but like, he might be like the oldest player on the team. Like, I don't think that's true, but like, he's probably actually one of the oldest players on that team.
They're as far away from win now as you can possibly be, I think, at this point. Like, you have to just build, get young guys, and hope that they turn into something greater than when you brought them into the building.
Exactly. All right, my run is over.
Yep.
Austin Stern.
Speaking of running, the Bills are running to the podium for this one. Brian Thomas Jr. With the Stephon Diggs trade that occurred this week, I am more confident than anything that A.D. Mitchell is going to end up being a Bill. I think that just makes sense. His profile is just nice, tall, fast, exactly what they need. But Brian Thomas here, dude? Are you kidding me?
He's taller and faster.
Get him in blue and red. And, if he does even kind of make a fall to here, try to trade up, man. Yeah. Like, if we can get... I'm big on A.D. Mitchell, and I think he's going to be a Bill. I think they're just going to stand put and grab him. Because I think Brian Thomas is going to go in the early 20s rather than this. But,
I do too.
I mean, if he is falling, go and grab this man. He's a monster.
Yeah.
And if this happens, I'd be super hyped. I'd be crazy hype.
Like, I can honestly see Brian Thomas going in, like, the early teens even.
Right. Like, 16, 17 kind of...
I'm thinking earlier, bro. Like,
damn, really?
I'm thinking earlier. I mean, we saw it a couple years ago with the Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Jahan Dotson draft where they all went, like, pretty much back to back, like, in, like, 12, 13, 14 range.
Right, but I mean, this one, we don't have a wide receiver going for 20 picks.
Yeah, from 9
that's
all
probably
the way
wouldn't happen.
to 28.
I feel like somebody would trade up for him.
And I actually was kind of I was kind of messing around with like the Bills trading up with like the Raiders or the Broncos or
I could see
the
trade
Bears.
up for with the Broncos. That actually makes a lot of sense.
It's just like, what would they give up? They don't have
because they don't want to trade their picks right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to build as well.
So
the Bills have a much better like a original roster setup right now, but they are very much leaning towards getting this back on track to being like one of the best teams in the league in 2025. So they need to grab as many young guys as they can and hope that they develop in their system.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I chose not to do it. It's just because I think they're just going to take a receiver at 28 regardless.
Right.
Like, do you really like is the difference between Brian Thomas Jr. and Adonai Mitchell that much where it's worth giving up, like, I don't know, a future second or something?
Right.
I don't think so.
I think it's just... Maybe give up the pick that they got from the Texans for Diggs, and then it's like, trade Diggs and a first for Brian Thomas.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, that seems rough.
Yeah, so I think that they're good where they are. I mean, I could also see them trading up for Rome. I was also thinking about doing that, but that's trading up a lot.
That's a lot. No, exactly. That's the thing is, like, I just don't think the rest of their team is where it needs to be. They're not one wide receiver away.
Right, exactly.
They're not one. They definitely need to find their safeties. They probably need another corner. Their D-line is fine, but needs a little bit of work. So I think that's definitely, they'll probably just stay put and kind of just fill up the coffers again. Be on kind of the edge of the playoff seating next year, and then hopefully whatever wide receiver they end up taking is going to be a dog. But if it's Brian Thomas Jr., you'd love to see it. You'd literally love to see it.
Lions on the clock here. Detroit Lions. We just typed up the player that I'm going to be drafting here. It's going to be A.D. Mitchell.
Yep.
Yeah, they need corner with the whole Cam Sutton thing going on. They did trade for... homie from Tampa.
Carlton Davis.
Carlton Davis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, but how is wide receiver
like,
not a need for them right now?
I agree. Like, yeah, they said Jameis Williams is going to be like a bigger role next year. They lost Josh Reynolds, so it's really just Amon-Ra St. Brown and then Jameson Williams, who's kind of just a gadget player.
Right.
Like, he's like a really good gadget player, probably the best gadget player in the NFL right now, besides maybe Debo.
And he's explosive, man. But yeah, exactly. Like I don't think that your wide receiver room is set with those two.
Exactly.
At all.
And of course, you still have Sam Laporta, Jameer Gibbs, Monty.
Now Sam Laporta.
That's the guy. but I do think you need another like elite type of head in the Detroit Lions wide receiver room. Yeah, they could do it later. Maybe they take a corner here. I think if Nate Wiggins or either Cooper DeJean, if one of them falls, then they just smash that. But I think that they could take a corner a little bit later and just solidify that offense as being.
I agree. You got to lean into it. You know, when you have one side of the ball that's kind of similar to when we were grabbing extra edges for teams that kind of already have their edges set, it's like, lean into that, man.
Yeah.
If that's what you're good at, be better at it.
Yeah.
Be the best at it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and there's a lot of teams that have done that and succeeded, you know? Like, I mean, you kind of take a look at the Bengals have had some roller coasters with Burrow's injuries, but, like, they had good wide receivers, and they added another one, and now they're amazing.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, that just is kind of how it works, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You need 3 guys at this point in the NFL.
Yeah.
You need to have 3 serviceable wide receivers, or you're a step behind.
And the Steelers have 1.
Yeah, so man, the Bills have...
Great. Oh, that's right.
Curtis, and I like Khalil Shakir, man.
Curtis Samuel, I think is
Curtis Samuel's probably 1, yeah. Curtis Samuel's 1. But he should be a 3, dude.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel should not be number 1. I love me some Samuel, dude. He's number 4. That's one of my favorite numbers. But like,
that's why.
You love number 4. That's one of the many reasons. But yeah, if he's your number 1, dude, it's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
We need to develop that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I realized that I was waiting for you to make a pick, but it's me.
Yeah.
So number 30, I think the Ravens are happy with this. They've been known to kind of just pick their guys. They need a lot of help on the O-line. Tyler Guyton is a right tackle specialist, and they just lost Morgan Moses. Actually, they traded him for some reason. Money, I'm sure. But,
he also wasn't great.
Yeah, he wasn't great, you know, but he was definitely a serviceable level right tackle, and they just traded him for no reason when they need tackles. But Tyler Guyton makes a lot of sense here. Grab your guy, fill him in. Hopefully he ends up being a good offensive tackle, and then you're kind of set.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a tackle for them. I know you could take a wide receiver, like we were just saying. You need 3 wide receivers, and Rashad Bateman is barely even half of one. And then obviously I'd say Flowers, but you could just address wide receiver later in the draft.
Right.
And they don't even pass the ball that much anyway.
I mean, tackle is a much bigger need, especially with King Henry coming to town.
Exactly. Like, even offensive line in general is just their biggest need because they lost John Simpson and then they lost their other guard as well.
Yep.
So they only have...
And Morgan Moses.
and Morgan Moses. So they have 3 starting offensive linemen for them last year just gone, obliterated, out of there. And they did not replace them in free agency for some reason. Like, they're just like, no, we're good.
The money,
we're good. We're just going to sign Derrick Henry. And that's it. We're going to get rid of everybody else. Geno Stone. Oh, they did bring back Matabuke, which is huge.
He's nice.
But that's it. They brought him back and signed Derrick Henry. And
this is definitely a transition year for the Ravens, too, I think. And I could see them surprising us and kind of being at the upper echelon of the playoff picture, but they definitely need to get that O-line fixed quickly.
I still think they're a playoff team. But
no, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't think they're. But I'm saying, like, I think they could surprise us and maybe be like a top 2 or 3 in the AFC again.
I don't think it's that much of a surprise. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, they still have Lamar Jackson. They still have a solid ass defense, and they have Derrick Henry, who we'll see what's up with him.
Yep.
But they do still have Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers, so their offense is still good. It's just like they really need offensive line help.
But I don't have, like, when I'm thinking of the Ravens right now, and we haven't done power rankings yet, but when I'm thinking about it, like, I don't have them as like the top of the division.
Well,
I have them winning their division maybe, but
you know, I don't either. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna win it either. Maybe. You don't gotta convince me. But anyway, 49ers on the clock. No, they're not, because we're trading. We haven't traded in a minute, and this is going to be a trade here from one Bay Area team to a former Bay Area team. It's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders trading up. I don't remember what we did, but obviously it's 31. It doesn't say it in there.
No, it doesn't.
But it's going to be 44, which is their second this year, and then which is moving back 13 picks. So it's not going to be something crazy, but I could see it being like 148 and then like one of these late ass picks, maybe even both. Why not?
Yeah.
We're not doing a full round
Get it in
mock
there.
anyway. So
We're not picking those picks. Yeah.
But I do think that if it's not the Raiders, then the Broncos or maybe even a dark horse team like the Seahawks, probably not going to trade with the Niners, but I think one team will trade up. I think that Michael Penix Jr. is a first round pick this year. I think he's worth it. Me personally, I know it's crazy. I know not a lot of people have the same mindset, but I'm gonna say it, bro. I think Michael Penix Jr. is my QB2 in this draft. Two.
Wow.
Those.
Okay,
I think
that's
it's Caleb
huge.
Williams, and I think it's Penix.
Wow.
But
Okay.
it all. Another thing too, it really does depend where they land. If Michael Penix Jr. lands in Las Vegas, Jesus. And I think if they take an offensive lineman like a right tackle with their first pick, and then they do this instead of drafting Quinyon Mitchell, who obviously we think Quinyon Mitchell's amazing, but if they do draft a right tackle and Penix, I think that he's going to be super successful. Obviously, Devontae Adams is there, Jacoby Myers. They don't really have a great run game right now, but I do expect them to draft a running back later in the draft at some point. So I think that
they got Alexander Madison this offseason.
yeah, and they still have Zamir White.
Yeah.
So I think they eventually grab one. I really hope they don't enter next season. Zamir White,
he's nice.
I need to stop being so low on him because he did have a really nice season at the end of last year. So
he could take a step up.
Yeah, I think he, maybe could. We'll
But
see.
if he stays where he's at, that's not where you want to be. Like if he doesn't make any improvement from last season, I don't think that's enough to be a number one running back in the league right now.
But I could also see him splitting carries with Madison, like you said. We'll see.
Which would be miserable. Anyway.
For everybody.
Yeah, all right. Kansas City. I think they're grabbing a wide receiver here. It makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Especially with Rashee Rice being a drug lord racer now.
Degenerate.
And but no, I mean I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll probably
Drug lord racer. He had
He'll
like
be-
13 grams of
Yeah.
weed and that was it.
But yeah, no, he's fine. He's gonna be suited up week one. I'm not even slightly worried about it. I'll probably pay some fines and be good to go.
I think.
Yeah, man, come on. He's an
I
NFL
think
player,
so,
bro.
too,
He's good to
yeah.
go. The KC lawyers are good for him.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Lad McConkey, you're a chief. I'm not entirely sold on him being the best wide receiver available, but that's what I picked. So, makes sense. I think, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, any of those guys could go there, but I do think that the Chiefs are going to be picking a wide receiver at the end of the draft.
I will say I do like the Lad McConkey pick here, just because I think Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown could both play on the outside, and then Lad McConkey perfectly fits in the slot here. And Lad McConkey can also play on the outside, but I think that he's going to start off his NFL
His
career
game is going to be better in the slot.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. And I think they want the like a good route runner rather than just a pure speed guy, because I think Rice is okay at
he's
route
a decent
running,
route
but
runner.
yeah, it's not like that's his specialty or anything.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. This is a very interesting draft. This is very different than the other ones that we had running. So I think getting rid of all four of those quarterbacks.
It's the first time
straight-
in NFL history that 4 quarterbacks went off the board first.
Okay, yeah, 'cause it's 3 is the most.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
3 of the most.
That would be
4's
spicy,
never happened.
man. No, and I think the Cardinals are a great trade-up candidate. That makes a ton of sense to me.
Trade down, you mean?
Trade down, excuse me, with the Vikings.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the biggest X factor in this draft is going to be what happens with pick number 3. I'm really pretty sure that 1 and 2 is going to be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. I feel very confident in that. About as confident you could be about the NFL draft. So.
Did you see what, I forget the LSU coach's name, but did you see what he said yesterday?
No, I don't think so.
Which I guess for y'all is
Was
2
it the
days ago.
old one or
I don't.
Ed
I think he's...
Orgeron or
No,
Okay,
not
yeah.
him, not him.
the smoker?
Yeah, not
Go Tigers!
not him, not him. But I don't remember if it was, maybe it was their offensive coordinator, whatever. But somebody from LSU said Jaden Daniels is going to make a ton of plays for Washington next year. He literally came out and said that. So maybe Washington reached out to them and they were like, "Hey, what is it with Jaden Daniels? Tell me all about him." Mm-hmm. And maybe that guy just thought that it's gonna be Jaden Daniels for sure there. But I'm pretty sold on it too. I think at this point, I said it, before it was even consensus, but I think Jaden Daniels will be the number 2 pick. If it's Drake May, it doesn't completely surprise us either. If it's JJ, I think our jaws are on the floor.
Now I'm surprised.
But yeah, I think that the draft really does start at 3, like you were saying, and the Patriots, they're all over that. Yay, we control the draft.
Right, yeah. Idiots. But yeah, I mean, I hope they grab JD. That'd be freaking awesome, dude. I would be so happy. I don't even think I'd have words if the Patriots drafted J.J. McCarthy, because he could be successful elsewhere, but if he goes to New England, that kid is on the corner, dude.
I can't wait to clip that after J.J. McCarthy wins them 7 Super Bowls.
Just destroys the Bills every year.
Yeah.
But no,
has an undefeated record against the Bills in his career.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. That's why you do it on a mic, baby, so you can get roasted.
Yeah.
But no, I'll put my car on that too, man. If JJ McCarthy goes to the Patriots, he will not be successful there. He will not win a playoff game in a Patriots jersey if he gets drafted to the playoffs.
Betting the car on it.
Put that, and somebody can come take my Solara.
Bring out the keys. Out there. Come get him. All right.
You won't, because he won't.
On that note,
yeah, that's all I gotta say.
We will be back next week for another mock draft Monday. Yep. Is it the no? I think there's two more.
Two more, yeah.
I think there's 2 more in the draft, baby. Yeah, so we're getting closer. We're getting more insight.
Yep.
Like we said, I think JJ McCarthy's a top 4 pick in this year. We'll see, but that'll do it for this week of the mock draft Monday. We will see y'all boys next week, or girls.
Take it easy.